Hello everyone, this is Jonathan, and apparently we've got a little bit of an issue with my video showing up. Try and get that working here. Yeah, that's not the one. There we go. Excellent. I am now a talking head in addition to a talking voice. Welcome to Automation Happy Hour. This is, I believe, number 8. And today we are going to try and automate this really fun app that I've been using. I'm going to try and automate a real iOS device today, and it's right here. You can also see it on the screen, so when I make things happen here, you should hopefully be able to keep up to date with what's going on. I'm going to try and set the phone to not sleep right now because to not lock, because I don't want to do that. Maybe I can just search for lock. Auto lock. I'm going to set it to never right now because I don't really want this phone to lock while I'm talking to you all and then to mess up the automation that might happen. So, in case this is your first Automation Happy Hour, here's what it's all about. Basically, we have all these mobile apps, right? And they need to be tested in a quick and high quality way, which implies that we need to be able to automate mobile applications. I work on a project called Appium that is an open source tool that gives you a library of automation commands for iOS and Android and other platforms as well. So these automation happy hours are basically me using Appium on apps that I've never tried to automate before. I might have used them as a user before, but I've never tried to automate them before. Usually automating an app is the job of somebody who works for the app team. But I'm out there trying to just demonstrate how Appium can be useful for automating different apps. Today, I'm gonna automate something called Umail. Delete my, all my current messages. So, Umail, let's see. Umail, how do I describe Umail? Umail is basically a replacement for your phone carrier's voicemail, whether it's audio voicemail or visual voicemail. And it's pretty awesome for me, especially. I live in Canada, and I mean, there's a lot of great carriers in Canada. I use one that is really simple, and I don't even get visual voicemail with my carrier. So I was able to set Umail as my kind of voicemail provider using some magic codes. Anyway, it's all on their website, and this isn't designed to be like a pitch for the product, but I do happen to like it. But the idea is that instead of missed calls or voicemails going to my carrier's default answering machine, basically they go to Umail's answering machine. Even just ringing calls get checked against a database of phone numbers that Umail has, so I can know before I even pick up if it's like a spam call. I also get visual voicemail. I also get speech to text. So if someone leaves a voicemail, I can read it as though it were sort of a text message, and it seems to work pretty well. I also get voicemails in my email. So if I'm just sitting at my computer, I can screen a call, listen to voicemail, all without even touching my phone. This is really sounding like a product pitch. That's not the intention. But I thought automating this app could be interesting. I think it might also be a challenge in some ways, so I'm not sure how much we'll be able to do, especially in, 50 minutes or an hour, whatever we have left. But I thought it'd be interesting because for this app to work, there's integration with the phone system, right? So to run through an end-to-end scenario for Umail, I have to receive a phone call, so I'm gonna have to leave a voice message, then I have to come back here. See, here's a bunch of my calls, incoming calls, and I need to assert that there is some item that has shown up in this inbox, and that maybe even that the speech-to-text service has worked correctly, and that I can validate the text that is on the screen here matches the actual audio that somebody spoke on the other end of the phone when they were calling me and leaving a voicemail. There's probably a ton of features about UMail that I haven't even looked at. I just used the ones I've mentioned so far. So we're going to try and see if we can automate that flow. And again, this is a real phone here, so I'm not simulating phone calls or anything else. Everything is going to happen over real cellular networks. So let's figure out how to get started. First thing we're going to want to do, of course, is figure out how we can launch UMail from Appium and just get an Appium session in general. So I'm going to head on over to our code project. I've been building up this project. I'm going to make it a little bigger for you all. Building up this project over the last couple months, so it's substantial now. We have a couple different apps that we've been testing. We've tested Craigslist, Twitter, Zoom, multiple sessions for each of those. And for each of those apps, we've built up page object models, and we've also been adding to a sort of base page object that has a lot of kind of common helper utility functionality for automating mobile apps. So we're kind of building up a framework as we go. This code is all open source up on GitHub, so you can check it out. So yeah, to add support for launching a new application, we go into this file called conftest.py. This is a convention for using PyTest, which is the test runner we're using. And I just have a bunch of Python dictionaries where I define the capabilities that I'm going to send to Appium to start a session. Before I do that, I'm going to take a quick drink of my happy hour beverage, and also just ask for you all to give a shout out if you're watching the stream. Where are you watching from? What time is it for you? Anything else that you want us to know? It would be fun to interact with you all a bit as well. Okay. So what I'm going to do, because I'm running this on iOS, on an iOS real device, I'm going to copy the set of capabilities I used for Zoom, because they're going to be largely similar. And I'm going to make a new set here. This is going to be called Yomail, not Yomail. It's going to be called UMail iOS capabilities. I think my phone has been upgraded to 13.4 since this last happened. Oh, and you know what? I am not using my other test device that I was using before, so I'm now on an iPhone 11 Pro. I'm not sure. Probably doesn't really matter. We have the UDID that we're going to use. And I don't know the bundle ID of UMail yet. The device ID, I'm just going to set to auto so that Appium will figure out which device I have plugged in. I'm hoping that this will work. I haven't actually tried to run anything on this device in a while, so we might have to do some troubleshooting there. We have the WebDriver agent service that we use to facilitate Appium's automation commands on the device, and we need to give it a special bundle ID that matches one of the provisioning profiles that I have on my phone. And we're using the XCUI test driver. So I'm kind of curious just if we can even start a session with this. So I'm going to add support for UMail to our make driver function. So if we pass UMail as a string into our make driver helper, we are going to use the UMail iOS capabilities. You know what? I don't have an Appium server started yet, so I'm going to go to my Appium checkout. I'm actually running a beta version of Appium 2.0. It's actually pre-beta, I guess. I've been making a bunch of changes. I hope that Appium is actually in a running state on my computer. We'll see. Looks like I have the UI Automator 2 driver installed, but I don't have the XUI test driver installed yet. So I'm going to do that. The way I do that is by running Appium driver install, and then I can use XUI test as it's one of the built-in drivers. So this might take a moment to install. While that's happening, I'm also going to load up appium.app because I'm sure we're going to want to do some inspecting of the UML app eventually. Got some folks joining from UML. Thanks for watching. Hopefully I don't totally embarrass your application. It's great. I like it a lot. And we've got Gopi, I think from UK, if I remember correctly. Nice to see you again. One of the things I realize is that when doing these streams, certain things take a lot longer than usual on my computer. Somehow I think the stream recording that I'm making is a little bit CPU intensive. And then obviously the fact that I'm streaming all this video means it's a little time consuming to download lots and lots of packages from NPM. That's why I'm playing music for you all. This guy's a great artist, Phil Cook. Really great instrumental guitar music. I guess something else that I can show you all while we're waiting for the XUI test driver to install. If we go back to our project, one of the challenges in testing UML is going to be how do we send a voicemail to my phone? I could, have one of you call my phone and leave a message, but then I have to give you my phone number, and you might say something different each time you call. There might be inconsistencies in how UML transcribes different snippets of audio. So ideally what we'd want is actually to automate the phone call process itself. And I'm going to do that with a service called Twilio. You probably know about Twilio. It allows for essentially programmatic scripting of phone and SMS behaviors. So I've actually already put together a little helper a function here called leave voicemail, and this uses the Twilio REST API client, and it assumes that I have something set in the environment where I'm running this, my Twilio account ID, my Twilio auth token, and the phone number that I have set up on Twilio's website to be able to call from. And this is, you have to kind of essentially check out and pay for phone numbers from Twilio. And then you can do things with them. Like you can call people with them, you can send text messages from those numbers. So I've created this method, leave voicemail. Basically, it takes a string, which is the number that we're trying to leave a voicemail on, so the number that we want to call, and then the message that we want to leave. And this message is just text. But what's nice is that Twilio can take that text and turn it into speech, turn it into an audio, so it can actually leave a voicemail. And we do that by using this special XML format type thing that they call Twiml. I don't know how you're supposed to pronounce that. Twilio ML. Twiml sounds kind of silly. Then again, Twilio sounds kind of silly, so maybe it's just thematically appropriate. And we're using their create call method here, and we're passing in a parameter that says how we want it to detect the answering machine. And basically we're telling it detect when the answering machine message or the voicemail prompt ends. So it'll try and listen for that beep kind of noise that lets you know you can start leaving a message, rather than, for example, starting to just talk immediately when the call is picked up. This is a pretty useful feature that we can have it wait. And in our case, we know that we're not going to pick up the phone because I have control over my own arms, hopefully. So we know that we'll go to voicemail, and so this should work. So this just creates the call, and then basically we have to continually pull Twilio's API to figure out when that call is completed. And when that's done, then we know that we're done leaving a voicemail. So we can actually use this method in our test to do the hard work of triggering a voicemail and leaving a specific text string that we define that should hopefully be pronounced the same every time we run a test. Okay, so back to Appium. I've installed the XUI test driver. Name this Tmux window Appium so we know where we are. And I'm gonna start up the Appium server again. Oh, we have folks from UMail who are watching, and apparently there's a trick which might have made my my job a little easier. But apparently, and this is from Mike on Twitch, if you email an MP3 or WAV file to the phone number at my.umail.com, then it goes into your inbox. That's a really convenient way of testing presumably a large portion of their backend stack to get that going. However, I will say that probably nothing is going to be as comprehensive an integration test as actually having an outside third party dial in. So that's what we're going to try and do. If I were writing lots and lots of tests of this application and writing tests of the inbox, yeah, just having the ability to send an MP3 to an email address is going to be more straightforward than actually going through all the phone wires from Twilio's headquarters to Vancouver, Canada. But we're gonna go for the gusto here, as my late great uncle Peter, who's Italian, said all the time in a very endearing way. Okay, where was I? We got Appium running. Oh yeah, we're gonna try and actually see if we can start the UMail application. Right, so we've got our comp test. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna open up one of our existing test files and just copy some stuff from it so I can make a new test file for UMail. And we don't have any pages we're importing yet. What do we need? We do need my phone number. So I'm just gonna, I have already set that as an environment variable. So hopefully you don't see it. Not because I don't trust you, but I don't really want my phone number in a video on the internet for the rest of eternity. So I have it set as a secret environment variable. This class is going to be called test UMail, and the test we're writing is going to be called, you know, test voicemail transcription. I suppose that's kind of what I'm hoping maybe we can test today. Kind of one end-to-end test of ensuring that the voicemail gets there. So we're gonna call our driver, and it is of type WebDriver, and we're gonna get a driver for the UMail app by calling makeDriver and passing in the UMail string, just like that. So just having this here, should basically do everything we need to just start up. I'll just go ahead and print out the in the Python client. Oh, right. This is an instance not of WebDriver, but a WebDriver.remote. So yeah, the attribute we're looking for is page source. If you know Python and are confused what we're doing, we're using typings in Python to get us nice auto completion in my Vim environment here. Okay, so everything's working, which I very much doubt that it is at this point. We should be able to run pytest test umail.py, and maybe we'll get an Appium session. Oh, well, it's definitely not going to work because I don't know the bundle ID of the umail application. What was the trick to figuring that out? If anyone who's on the email team that's watching knows your iOS bundle ID, please put it in the chat. Otherwise, I'm going to go try and finagle my way to it, because there's a way on the App Store. If you go to the App Store and you find this, is it that ID? Somebody put in that. Oh, it's a very strange bundle ID. That's the bundle ID of your application? That looks more like your Xcode organization ID or something, but I can try that too. There was a way to, maybe I have it in my curl history. Aha. If you curl the iTunes store, you can basically mimic the iTunes software in looking up information about an application. You are totally right, HKimTran. This is the bundle ID. I was doubtful. I'd be curious to hear the story behind why this is the bundle ID sometime. But this is our umail bundle ID. Where do we put that? Conf test. And is it not there? Okay. I am now like 10% more confident this might work. So we're going to try test umail.py. Open up the Appium server in case there's any error logs. And then you know what? Since we're running, this is the first time running on a real device since the last time I ran an XUI test. Oh, seems like nothing's even. Oh, didn't even start. That's because I have a typo here. If I had looked at my lint issues, probably would have caught that. Oh. Great. So we're starting a session here. And as I was about to say, I haven't run the XUI test driver on a real device in some time. So Appium is actually going to rebuild this kind of dependency of Appium's called WebDriver Agent. You can see it's actually fetching dependencies, checking it out. It's going to build it using Xcode build. The reason it has to do that, it has to do that anytime there's a new version of Appium's XUI test driver, obviously. But then it also has to do it in my case because I'm trying to run WebDriver Agent on my real device, which means I have to give it a bundle ID which is valid for a provisioning profile that I have in my Xcode organization. So we've essentially have to rebuild, rebundle, rebuild, resign WebDriver Agent to get it to run on my device. And unfortunately, that takes a while, like several minutes. So I'm going to have to kill some time here. Thanks again, everyone, for joining. Is anyone else having a happy hour beverage, whether that's coffee or water? In my case, drinking a Japanese beer that I had in my fridge somehow here, which is fun. Something I can do while we're killing time, actually. We're going to want to use... Oh, no. I just closed Appium. That's sad. Something we're going to want to do is use Appium Desktop, which has a special inspector, so that we can visually inspect the hierarchy of the application according to the accessibility systems on iOS. And we can start creating the capabilities that we need to use, because as of now, they are just here in our code. Green tea with ginger. That's nice. I like green tea with ginger. What is the name of my beverage? It's Kirin Ichiban. It's a good one. I remember the first time I had this beer in Japan. I was young. I don't remember. Must have been in college. Anyway, for some reason, it tasted like bubblegum to me. I'm not sure why. I don't know what I was eating at the time, but for a while I thought that I just didn't like this beer because it tasted very odd. But now it tastes normal, so I don't know. This one might not even be brewed in Japan. It's hard to say. Yeah, brewed in Los Angeles, California, and Williamsburg, Virginia. But under the strict supervision of Anheuser-Busch. Oh. No, brewed by Anheuser-Busch under Kirin's strict supervision. I love it how all drink companies are basically just one big company at this point. Oh, Ito. Ito in. Nice. Yeah, like I said, when I do streams, anything involving CPU, like for example, building WebDriver agent, takes a long time. But Appium Desktop is open again, so we can go figure that out. And open up the inspector window. Wow. Okay, here we go. I'm actually going to try and find the capabilities that I used to start this section. Here they are. Oh, that's not going to copy very easily. There's probably a different way I can copy them. Yeah. Here's a bunch of my capabilities. Like this. I can copy those, and I can actually just edit the JSON representation of the capabilities here and hit save. Oh, right, but as I discovered before, sometimes there are new lines in there that have been copied. Okay, this is a nice way to get all the capabilities set up. So I'm gonna save these capabilities as email iOS. Okay, so we're done building the iOS scheme for WebDriver agent, and now moving on to the tvOS scheme, which I don't actually need. And I kind of wish there was a way to disable building that part, because this is kind of unnecessary time if you're not actually testing tvOS, so I'll have to see if I can fix that in Appium. For now, we wait, and we see if the session starts. Yeah, since we have some email people on the chat, some questions, I guess. How old is email? When did it start? Wow, 2007. Yeah, that's a long time ago. 13 years ago? Really? Wow. believe I'm just hearing about it now. Very cool. Building, building, building. Should get out my guitar, but it wouldn't sound as good as Phil Cook, so I can also just let him continue to play. I think what else could we do? We could start building out our UML page object model. So what do we need to do that? We of course need a directory. So that would be, what do we have? Pages, and we're gonna make a directory called UMail. Now we have that directory here, and I'm gonna just find some page that we made last time for Twitter so we can get some of the imports. And we're gonna put, I'm not sure how we start, what page we start UMail up on, but I guess one page we can definitely have is the inbox page. And I call them pages, just convention from the era of web testing. Obviously we're dealing with views and not pages. So I'm gonna, my kind of class prefix for UML is gonna be YM. So we'll call this YM inbox. Page there. And what kind of elements are we gonna want to find? Well, let's see, we need something to show up here before we can tap on it. So that might be the only thing. We might wanna like log in and out, maybe, I don't know. Can we do that? Oh no, there's my phone number. all that work to black that out later. We might not need to go there. I suppose it doesn't make any sense to try and edit anything in here. Try and make a new call. Well, we're gonna probably have something like open voicemail at some point. We're gonna have that type of method. We might want to parameterize that to say like which voicemail we want to open. I'm not sure how we would want to make that decision. We could say, you know, what number it is in the list. Let's say it could be the first one. Okay, something happened. Oh no, the Python client decided that, you know, 5 minutes or whatever was long enough waiting for Appium. I wonder if we're gonna have to go through all that build again, or if there's some kind of cache happening. Hopefully there's a cache happening. So let's try that again. So just so you know, all of the challenges we're dealing with right now have to do with the fact that we're running on this real device rather than something else. Simulators, you don't have to worry about this. I can tell the Xcode build log here if I want, just to make sure that something's happening. Apparently nothing, no output build output there yet. Oh, the logout is in the settings tab apparently. Cool. We might need that. Hopefully we won't need that. Apologize, I really should have tried to run a session on this device before starting the stream. I normally like to just start with very little preparation because I want it to be authentic to what you would experience, but in this case it's kind of a shitty experience. Okay, at least we have some output happening now. Kind of curious if anyone knows, does UML use Twilio to, receive calls and automate all that, or is it something you guys built on your own? Some of the same technology as Twilio, apparently. That's cool. It's appropriately vague. Okay, now we're building the other thing here. Hopefully we don't time out again. Then I would have to just go and build things manually, which would suck and also take more time. While we're waiting, I can also share, if you haven't checked it out, there's this thing called Appium Pro, which is a sort of weekly newsletter that I write all about Appium stuff. Written a lot of different topics. This last edition was number 118, so there's a real wide range of things on here, from very basic stuff to very specific niche things that you might not need, but if you wind up working on a certain kind of app, you might actually need, to kind of best practices stuff, to thoughts on the industry. There's a lot of things there. So please check that out. The other thing I'm working on a lot these days is called Headspin University, and that's my it's my job. It's what I'm trying to build right now, in addition to working on Appium. Headspin University, we're trying to just build a really great repository of high quality test automation resources. So you can also go there to read up some information, and also watch videos of my previous automation happy hours. I think I still got to upload number 7, so that's a little behind. But yeah, you can check out different courses. We have a free introduction to Appium, as well as a collection of kind of advanced webinars. And then right now I'm working on a course called Appium and Selenium Fundamentals, which is designed to take somebody from basically no experience with test automation and get them to a pretty advanced level. So that is worth checking out. Okay, build is continuing to go here. I wonder if we're gonna make it in time though. I'm afraid this Python thing is gonna disconnect. It sucks when you have kind of interactions between your two pieces of software that make them, neither of them work when it would work otherwise. I think this is about the point at which we ran out of time last time building the YY cache scheme. Took a really long time for that Xcode build log to show up. I wonder, I mean, apart from just the fact that I'm streaming, I wonder what's going on. But yeah, really bad idea to stream CPU intensive stuff apparently and record it at the same time. Maybe it's the recording actually that's the issue more than the streaming. I don't know. Okay, one step further. I want to say this is the last step because these are the only two dependencies that we checked out. One change that we have underway in Appium is to provide a sort of pre-built version of WebDriver Agent so that we don't have to actually go through all of this mess. Although, like I said before, it wouldn't necessarily help me in this case because I need to build a custom version of WebDriver Agent that will run on my specific device with my specific provisioning profile. Okay, so that archive succeeded. I guess there's still more left to do in the build though. Okay, that build succeeded. Oh man, I'm afraid we're still gonna run out of time though, because now we have to actually build WebDriver Agent itself. I don't think there's any way we're gonna get all that done. I wish these things cached. Okay, so here we're building another. So now what Appium is doing, it doesn't necessarily know when WebDriver Agent will be up and running on the device. So it builds it, and it's actually XCUI test runner that launches a server on the device, so Appium just pulls that. Okay, this iPhone is running iOS 13.4, which may not be supported by this version of Xcode. Oh, that would suck. Because I think to get a newer version of Xcode on my machine, I think I need to upgrade to Catalina, which I haven't yet done. I thought I had been running tests on this iOS version. Okay, so we had the Python thing disconnect, but this time it seemed like we actually built all the dependencies. So let's try this again. If I can't actually get Appium automating this phone because I need to upgrade Xcode, then we'll have to take a break and I'll have to figure out how to make that upgrade for next week. So if this doesn't work this time, what I can do is I can at least demonstrate the Twilio side of things. Because basically as part of the precondition for the test that we're writing, we're going to want to dial my my number. So we're gonna, from lib.twilio import leave voicemail. So we're gonna leave a voicemail, and we're gonna call JLipps' phone. What do we want to say? We could say, hello from the live stream. In fact, we'll probably want to, make a verification on that message later, so we can assign it to a variable. That way we can assert that it's the same as something else later on. Right, okay. I mean, we could even do this before we start the driver. So that way we can test it. Okay, looks like all that building stuff worked. But yeah, the problem, my friends, appears to be that I have up to iOS 13.3 available on my system. My phone is running iOS 13.4. So Xcode doesn't know how to run XUI tests on this phone. Yeah, that's going to be a showstopper for today. I did not even think that I might not have had the most recent iOS SDK. I'll have to look into that, but either way, it'd be too long for me to try and download gigabytes worth of SDK right now. But let's just skip the driver stuff for now and see if we can at least observe how Twilio can leave a voicemail. So hopefully I should get a incoming phone call from Twilio. Otherwise, I'm not sure what it's doing. You know what? I had my phone on Do Not Disturb, what I call moon mode because of the moon. But as you can see, it actually did get a phone call from my Twilio number, and it says, hello from the live stream, which is exactly what we wanted. So let's delete that. We'll try it again without Do Not Disturb on. See if I can actually see the phone happening. It's also possible that if I'm doing this video sharing with QuickTime, that it suppresses the phone, but no, it doesn't. Okay, great. So I can actually just decline this. And now Twilio should be listening to my goodbye message and then leaving the string that we identified. And then it should show up in UMail as soon as it's transcribed. And there we go. Ooh, this time it caught it as live stream, which is interesting. I was pretty sure that Twilio would probably be using the exact same audio that it has generated, but of course with all the weird compression and other artifacts that can happen over a voice call, the difference between a bilabial voiceless fricative and a bilabial voiced fricative, to use the linguistic terms for F and V, would be pretty hard to tell. So I can understand why it would transcribe it as live stream instead of live stream. But okay, so what I'm going to do, try and actually make sure that I can run a session on this device, that I have everything set up correctly. So maybe I'll just pick up next week where we left off, assuming I don't have to upgrade my OS and get my system totally broken. So yeah, to wrap up, do a little recap of what we've learned today. We learned about Umail, got a little demonstration of that app. I attempted to automate the inbox UI, but couldn't get the Appium part working because I didn't remember that I used to use this iPhone 5S for these live streams, and I thought I had just been using my iPhone the whole time, so I thought it was set up to go, but it was not. So I have some work to do to configure my system appropriately to be able to run XUI tests on their own or through Appium on my personal device, which of course I have to use because this is the one that has a SIM card in it and the one that has my number on it, all of that. But we did see how we can perform one half of the requirement, which is to using just our own test framework, generate a voicemail in the application, kind of leveraging the full stack of the phone system, essentially using the Twilio API. So that's pretty exciting. I'm pretty optimistic that if I can get Appium going on this, I would be able to use Appium to, tap on that voicemail button and get the text from it so we can make an assertion on it. I think that would be pretty awesome. So we'll give that a go some other time. Apologies it didn't totally work out this time. It's kind of how it goes with these live streams. It's all unscripted and unplanned, so odd things happen, and they have in the past and they will again in the future. I really appreciate all of you who showed up today, tonight, and especially some folks from Umail who decided to drop in. And if your QA team does any kind of automated UI testing and wants to publish a blog or something on how you do it, that would be awesome, as I can probably learn some things from that. Otherwise, I'm gonna just keep going, trying to automate it on my own next week. Hope everyone has a good weekend. It's been a hell of a week, a lot of places in the world. Hope you get to have some time to rest and relax, and we'll come back and exploring this amazing world of app automation some other time in the future. All right, happy Friday. Bye.